this is typical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you can see, he's really like tuned out, just kind of like doing his own thing, not really like paying any attention. Yeah. Yeah.
Josh, stop pulling.
And does he ever start like choking? Like,
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I think the prong collar will really
Help him.
Yeah, definitely.
See?
Yep.
Here.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Ryan from True Life Canine, and I'm going to show you guys how to walk your dog nicely on the leash. So right now I've got Josh here on a prong collar, and this isn't a video about how to introduce your dog to the prong collar, so if you haven't seen that, I'll go ahead and check that out first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start walking, and then every time he kind of goes ahead of me, I'm just going to give him these little pops. So also, what's really important is that you have a good amount of leash. So what I don't want is to have like this amount of leash, because that's way too much. But I don't want to be like choking up like that, because that's like too close to the neck, and there's going to be constant tension. So whenever there's constant tension like that, it's not going to be communicating very well. So with him, I'm probably going to want about this much leash right there. So gives it some nice wiggle room. But whenever I need to give any information, all I have to do is just give a quick little pop. So it'll be something about right there. So if you want to come maybe on, I guess on this side, and you can kind of see what I'm doing with my hand. And what we'll do is we'll just start walking. So the second he kind of starts to go past me, I give him just a little bit of information, just like that. It's a really quick pop. So basically I want the dog to be kind of parallel to my hip. So as soon as his head starts to go a little bit past, that's when I'll give a little pop. And the pop's gonna be sort of like, kind of diagonally sort of behind my rear. It's not gonna be like straight back and not like straight to the side, so it'll be kind of something diagonal this way. So as you can kind of see from the video before, he's already kind of like a lot more calmed down just from introducing him to the prong collar. But yeah, we'll start walking, kind of see what we get here. We'll go this way. And if you want to come maybe just a little bit more like parallel right here, yeah, there it goes. Perfect. So right now I'm not going to expect him to be, perfect with this, because this is brand new. So what we want to do is start kind of cultivating a new habit here. But as you can see, the prong collar is starting to help a lot with getting him to kind of pay more attention. So the longer you do this, the better the dog gets at it. And a lot of times what you'll notice is, on the first time you start doing this, but by the end of the walk, the dog is oftentimes a lot more calm and tuned into you, which he's already doing really well right now. But all I'm doing is just these little pops, just like that. Little pop. And if the dog isn't responding to it, then what you can do is do some firmer pops, because if he's not responding to it, then it means it's not meaningful to him. So there's a couple things here. So what I see a lot of people do is they kind of do this thing where they pull the dog back. So the dog goes ahead and they kind of like constantly pull the dog back, or they just have constant pressure right here. That's not what we want, because it's not going to be communicating to the dog effectively. So what we want is to kind of have a quick, kind of sharp, kind of pop every time the dog goes ahead. So he's like, every time he walks ahead, he's like, oh, okay, that was a little bit uncomfortable. And then he's like, okay, so every time I go ahead, I get that little pop. And if you just constantly pull your dog back, then it's not really effective, and the dog kind of just kind of like tunes out the pressure more. And so another thing is, when I'm walking, what I want is to be nice and relaxed. I know for a lot of people on the walk, they get kind of tense, and that's just because they're so used to it, because they're so used to the dog pulling and having to like hold the leash tight. So whenever I'm walking a dog, what I do is, I try to be as confident as I can, just kind of walk really casually. And as you can see, I'm not like holding the leash like really tight or anything. And another thing is, I make sure that when I give a little pop, that I'm not doing it too late. So usually people will give the pop when the dog is right there, and they'll say, hey, no, heel, and they'll give the pop after the dog is way ahead. But what you want to do is give a little pop the second he starts to kind of pull ahead, just like this. And in the beginning, you're probably going to have to use, you know, a decent amount of pops because the dog's not used to it. And this, again, the more you do this, the more it starts to become a habit to your dog. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of turn around and go this way if you want to just kind of come over on that side again. So I've kind of been, also what you'll notice is I've been walking kind of slow right now. A lot of times I'll do that because it challenges the dog a little bit more. The dog is just so used to kind of doing his own thing and just kind of sniffing and pulling and doing, just being completely tuned out. So by going slower, a lot of times that'll help to kind of get the dog into this more calm and respectful state of mind where he's more tuned into me. Again, nothing I'm doing is like, I'm not kind of like muscling the dog. I'm not doing like really firm pops. Everything I'm doing is, you know, relatively gentle. I'm just giving these pops just kind of, you know, diagonal this way. It's not about being strong. You know, you can get a 5-year-old to walk the dog nicely. It's just all about, you know, technique and using the right tool. So as you can see, he's a lot more calmed down and tuned into me. So again, just those little pops right there. And now if my dog decides to kind of like go off to the side, like goes behind me, I'll just guide him back. I'll just kind of turn around right here again. And again, this is about the amount of leash I want with him. So just enough where there's some wiggle room, a little bit of play right there in the leash, but enough where all I have to do is just a little, almost like a flick of the wrist, just to kind of give him some information. Oh, that makes me want to say one more thing. So again, it's just this like kind of like flick of the wrist, maybe a little bit of arm movement. But whenever I get these pops, if you'll notice, I'm not like using my whole arm. I'm not like yanking back. So usually when people start doing that, it's because they're correcting too late and the dog is already way in front of them. So again, the second the dog's head goes a little bit past my hip, just this little pop like this. Mostly wrist, maybe a little bit of arm, but if you're using your whole arm to bring him back, then you're most likely not doing it right. So, and again, you do this a lot, do this consistently, and the dog, it starts to become more of a habit to your dog. And as you can see, he's already a lot more calm and tuned in and relaxed than he was earlier when he was, you know, pulling and doing all his typical kind of nonsense. So, yeah, the prong collar is a great tool. So just practice this a lot, be consistent with it, and you know, after you do this, you know, a few times on the walk, usually the dog's like, okay, I got this, I understand. So yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. Hey, buddy. What'd you say?
It's not as bad as he normally is.
He's not.
Or maybe I'm just used to it. No, see. Okay.
There he goes.
Josh, stop. No.